Peace, I'm Born of Law from Tabernacle MCs, West LA, La Cienega and Cadillac, West LA hip hop. Growing up, it was definitely the soul music. My grandmom, she was always into the Aretha Franklins, Wilson Pickett, the OJs, Barry White. You know, I'm a big Barry White fan. I'm a big OJ fan. My mom's and them was really into like the Whispers. I'm a big Whispers fan. GQ. My family came up in the disco era because I moved out here. I was born in New York and I moved out here as a child when I was 4. Disco was popping, and then, you know, my parents was relatively young people, man, so I used to always see them getting dressed, going out, going to see these cats, you know what I'm saying, especially different places around LA. It was a lot of clubs, especially in LA during the time. So that's what I came up off of, really just the soul music and stuff like that. That was always my thing. Actually, the way I got started in the game, because since I was born in New York, and I would always go there for the, you know, the summer times and hang out and stuff. So I was always privy to music that wasn't coming in, to LA, but especially me and my best friend. He was from Philly. So we would always go away, you know, for summer and different vacations and come back with stuff that wasn't in LA. And actually the way I started rhyming is that he brought back a tape from a crew called the Crash Crew. And what we used to do is since nobody knew the music, we would redo the Crash Crew, and he was Bistro and I was Reggie Rand. We had, everybody was a character in it, but nobody knew, and that's how I actually started rhyming, saying Crash Crew rhymes. And then eventually I started writing for myself, you know. So that's when I really started getting the early, like, okay, this is something that I want to do. And I was 12 years old in the 7th grade. And then when Run DMC came, I wanted to be, I tell people all the time, my style is really an advanced version of DMC. DMC was always the lyricist to me, man, you know, and that's how I came up, man. I was a huge Run DMC fan, homie. That's when I knew it was real, man, from the gate. Soon as they came out, man, that's how I was on it. I would have to say, man, my elders and people I always pay homage to, man, would be the MC Aces, which is really the foundation of Freestyle Fellowship. You know, those dudes was like my big bros, like they a couple of years older than me, man. So when I met them, that's when I knew what hip hop was capable lyrically, especially Micah 9. I apprenticed under Micah 9 for a few years, man, and just getting it in and, you know, being MCs and stuff like that. So those would probably be my biggest influences as far as local MCs, you know what I'm saying, that got down, that was really on the lyricism. Because you got to think, when hip hop first came to LA, it was very dance orientated and very, well, you know, you take like Egyptian Lover, the Uncle Jam's Army, World Class Wrecking Crew, all of that music was probably a West Coast version of what Soul Sonic Force and African Bambaataa was doing. So that was really the thing. But it was hard for me at the time, especially being a new MC, to rhyme over those type of beats. So I was always more privy and cling to more of the East Coast style music, because I couldn't rhyme over that fast stuff, like the slow patterns. And I love Egyptian Love. I'm a huge fan. You know what I'm saying? The women here are all so cute. Come on, man. You heard me? You know what I'm saying? So, but the way we rhymed and the patterns at the time, you know what I'm saying, I was more traditionally rhyming over Houdini, 5 minutes of funk, and, you know, that type of stuff. That's the stuff that I was more comfortable rhyming over. So, but yeah, that's, you know, in LA, that's what it was, man. That's where we all come from, man. You can't talk about West Coast hip hop, man, without bringing in Uncle Jam's Army, bringing in Egyptian Lover, Mixmaster Spade. You gotta have that conversation. Toddy T, you know what I'm saying? Even LA Dream Team, Rockberry, you know. But a lot of times we tend to shun that off because it wasn't as tough as the traditional West Coast stuff, which is the NWA family bloodline, you know what I'm saying? We try to shut off the disco stuff, but we need to hold on to it still, because it's nothing different than what African Bambaataa and them was doing. Well, I came up as a battle rapper, so that was the whole thing, man. The whole thing was a competitive thing. I had a big ego, and I just used to go in. When I came in the game, my name, as corny as it was, I was MC Cool with a K, you know. And that's how I got in, just battling scene, especially in junior high school and stuff like that, man. That's all it was. Nobody was putting out no music, you know, and a lot of people didn't have access to recording and stuff like that. So all it was me standing here and rhyming, and if you think you better than me rhyming against you. I had no other outlet of the music other than, you know, vocally saying what I could do and competing. That's where it all came from for me. And moving up to Movement X, because my first music that I ever put out, man, was I wrote a song for the New Kids on the Block when I was 14. A song called Are You Down? So that was the first time that I was actually published, and I was 14, and it was so funny how naive I was. My family didn't know nothing about it, but the one thing I can never forget, my auntie took me to get the song registered, because the guy that I got on to do the song with, he was from Columbia Records, so he was paying me with Fresh Fest tickets, you know what I'm saying? He would come and just bring me, I would be able to take my whole hood to go to Fresh Fest at the Coliseum and all the big shows. Like, that was my payment, you know? So that's when I realized that I could start making bread at it and getting into the game. And what changed me to start doing the Movement X thing is that during my rebellious years, my mom sent me to live with my father in New York, and I went to school in the Bronx. And my school was nothing but 5%ers in there. So in October of 1987, I got the knowledge of myself. So when I got the knowledge, that changed my whole scheme of what I rhymed about, what I spoke about. So all that was all things that led me to start doing the Movement X thing. I was still a battle rapper, because that when I came back from New York in the scene, it was like, you know, I was still battling, but I had a conscious edge that separated me from everybody, because I went from MC Cool to Lord Mustafa. And during the Lord Mustafa days, that's when I ended up getting the Movement X deal, because Movement X was actually the first rap group signed directly to Columbia Records, which is now Sony. Before then, all they did was have a small, when I can't call them a small label, because they had Def Jam. Eventually, they brought in Rough House and stuff like that. But Movement X was the first rap group signed directly to Columbia Records. So, and I just went in there and went in. But I was an angry black kid that just discovered the knowledge of myself, man. So I was reckless out my mouth. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the game changed for me when the FBI asked the label for a copy of our lyric sheet. Asked the label, they asked for us, they asked for the lyric sheets of Public Enemy and a couple of people. So they was like, and you got to think, when Movement X came out, I was 19, homie. I didn't give a fuck. I was saying I didn't give a fuck. Even some of my facts was off, but I was close enough. That's how I was on it. When you look back at some of the stuff, I look back at the Movement X days, and I'd be like, oh, okay, that was a little off. You know what I'm saying? And shit. I remember it was one line when somebody did a review. It's this one reporter, man, who used to always shit on rappers, man. It was one of the dudes that brung up the grift thing. And he did an article on this, man, and he had pointed out, because I think in one of my rhymes I said, in Tuskegee they injected blacks with syphilis. And he was like, they didn't inject them, they had it, they just didn't cure them. You know what I'm saying? I was like, oh fuck, I was right. You know what I'm saying? But it was a book that my father had gave me, and to me, that was like, oh, they was injecting them all to kill the white man. Like, I was on some, you know, but you young with the information, and when you're so young with it, man, it's hard, you know, it takes time to put the information in perspective. So, I mean, I look back at the Movement X days, and I was like, oh, I was super gun-ho, and I'm proud of it, but it's like, when you look at it in hindsight, it's like, based off of me being the age now, the information, if I went that route, the information I would give people would really blow people wig and shit. I'd be dropping Behold the Pale White Horse on their ass. You know what I'm saying? But it was a good thing, though, man. But that's what led up to it, man. When I got the knowledge of myself, man, it just changed the game. Well, actually, it's so funny because it was Eric Nuri. He was the A&R at Columbia at the time, and Eric Nuri and his wife were friends of my mom's and pops in New York. So it was one of them things, because, you know, it was a lot of migration. A lot of people was coming out here from New York. So we was out here first. When they moved out here, it was family. We knew each other from back home and stuff like that. But he had came to me because he had the New Kids on the Block. It was Maurice Starr, and he was like, yeah, I got this new group, and I want them to do something like what New Edition does with the rapping and singing. So he asked me to do it. So I was like, all right, bet, it's nothing. You know what I'm saying? So he came, and I never even met the dudes. He came, he took me to his house. He was staying in Studio City, and I did a version of the song with me and his son. Did it on 4-track cassette, and you know, he sent it off. And then one day he came to my house with this record with my little name in fine print on the record. And it was so funny because I seen all these names on it, and I was like, you know, but it was so funny because the guy that used to be in Prince's band, Andre Simone, he's the one that actually produced it. So, you know, I seen all the names that I didn't know, you know what I'm saying? But I was like, okay, whatever, my name's on a record. Just being published and being blasted and be able to walk around with the record, that was a big deal to me. It wasn't even about no bread at the time. It was so funny that I never got the money to it, the money from the project, until the Movement X days. And I'm in there at my lawyer's office, and I tell them that I did this song for New Kids on the Block, and they was like, oh yeah, did you ever, you know, would ask me about the outcome. I was like, no, I never got paid for it. And they was like, is your name on the record? I was like, yeah, my name's on the record and stuff. And they went and got that bread for me. So it was funny. I had not only my advance money from the Movement X thing, all of a sudden I got this New Kids on the Block money and shit at 19 years old. Like, I was bossed up like instantly, homie. It was crazy. You know, I hadn't even considered it because their first album that I actually recorded on was quote unquote a flop. It was the second one that took them over the top, and then it boosted up the sales of the first one. So I just was talking about, you know, me doing the song, just showing off, thinking that was a thing. And the lawyers, dollar signs started going off in their head, and they went and got that bread, man. And I was like, whoa. But that's how it came about. It was just a friend of the family, and he was an A&R dude and stuff like that. And he was like, do this. And I was just gung-ho because at the time, I never got to be recorded on a regular basis. So just being able to be in the studio and be behind a mic and hear myself back, it was like, I was gung-ho about that, man.